Welcome back my YouTube channel Old Coin Zee collection. If you're a coin enthusiast like me, you'll love today's video where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history, the 1975 1-cent coin. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about a 1975 penny? Well, stick around because by the end of this video, you'll understand why a single 1975 penny could potentially be worth up to $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million. Now let's start by taking a look at the 1975 1-cent coin, also known as the penny. For most people, pennies are just small change that get tossed into a jar or end up lost in the couch cushions. But as you'll soon see, certain pennies have a much greater value than their face value. The 1975 penny is one of those rare coins. This penny, minted in 1975, features the classic design we've all seen. On the obverse, you've got the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. And on the reverse, you've got the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959 and remained a feature on the penny for decades. At first glance, this coin looks like any other from the 1970s. But as we dig deeper, you'll see why some of these pennies are worth far more than you'd expect. So, what's the story behind this coin? Well, the 1975 1-cent coin is part of a much larger collection of U.S. pennies from the 1970s. However, there's a significant error that occurred in the minting process, which makes certain 1975 pennies incredibly valuable. The 1975 penny was part of a huge transition at the U.S. Mint. During the early 1970s, the U.S. government began experimenting with different types of alloys for coinage due to rising metal costs. In 1975, the penny's composition was still primarily copper, but the mint was in the process of testing new materials and methods. Some of these tests led to mistakes. The main error that makes some 1975 pennies so valuable is known as the Double Die Obverse variety. Essentially, this means that the coin was struck multiple times, causing the images, especially on Lincoln's portrait and the date, to appear doubled or misaligned. The most famous version of the 1975 penny is the Double Die Obverse. If you look closely at the date 1975 and Lincoln's image on certain coins, you might see that the details appear to be doubled or blurry. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned, causing the design to be transferred onto the coin multiple times during the minting process. So, if you have a 1975 penny and notice this double image, you could have a very valuable coin on your hands. Some of these rare double die 1975 pennies have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, some estimates say that these coins can be worth anywhere between $10,000 and $2 million, depending on the severity of the doubling and the coin's condition. Let me show you a few examples of these coins in mint condition that have gone for astronomical prices. Now, you might be asking, how do I spot a double die 1975 penny? Great question. It's all about looking closely at the details. Take a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and carefully inspect the coin. The doubling is most noticeable on the date 1975 and especially on the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust. You'll also notice it in the fine details of Lincoln's portrait that if you see any doubling in these areas, you could have one of the rare coins. Of course, make sure you check the overall condition of the coin too. The better the condition, the higher the value. While the Double Die Obverse is the most famous, there are other variations of the 1975 penny that might have some value, though not as much. For example, some 1975 pennies were struck with worn-out dies, causing weaker images or partial strikes. These coins can be valuable, but they usually aren't worth as much as the Double Die variety. The value of these coins can also fluctuate based on their condition. A well-preserved example of the Double Die 1975 penny in near-perfect condition could fetch you hundreds of thousands, while a slightly worn version might go for a few thousand. But a penny in perfect mint condition with that double image? That could be worth up to $2 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in the world. That if you think you've got a rare 1975 penny, you might be wondering how to sell it. There are a few ways you can go about it. Point one of the best options is to sell it through a professional coin auction house, where collectors and investors often look for rare coins like this. You can also reach out to certified coin dealers or have it appraised by a coin expert to determine its value. So, to wrap up, the 1975 penny is a perfect example of how a simple coin can turn into a rare and valuable treasure. The Double Die Obverse, in particular, has made these pennies some of the most sought-after coins in the world. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, keep your eyes peeled. You never know when you might come across one of these rare gems. That's all for today's episode of Subscribe my YouTube channel, Old Coin Zee Collection. I hope this video helped you understand the value of the 1975 penny and how to spot it. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you've got a rare coin in your collection or have questions about other valuable coins, drop them in the comments below.